Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Connect, episode 4. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So immediately in the aftermath of last episode, Dong-soo is getting interrogated by the cops, and they're trying to figure out, well, how do you know what you know? And I was curious, like, how he was going to spin it. He says it as, like, initially, like, oh, I have a vision. I thought he was going to be like, oh, I'm psychic. And I felt like that might have been the direction he was going to go down. But I guess he just, it's like, right, he doesn't want to tell the entire truth because he doesn't want to out himself. But he also wants to kind of be like, hey, you need to listen to me. Like, I get these visions. I saw what this guy has done. And the fact of the matter is, I see the drawings. Like, it's almost like I'm seeing through his eyes. So he's trying to go down that route. I thought that's the route they were going to go down completely. He's like, okay, I'm a psychic. Let me work with you and we can stop this guy together. Like, I can't control the visions and stuff like that. And obviously Detective Troy's like, right, I don't think you did it. Especially because, once again, the murders at that, I think the place is, what's it called, M&P, where Jin Seong works. It's like, yo, those two murders, you weren't there. Well, at least one of them, you weren't there at the time of the murder, so you couldn't have done it. So... But I don't know if they necessarily pieced that together as equivocal that he's not the corpse art killer. So when it's all said and done, Dong-soo felt like, right, he had no choice but to tell, well, at least show Detective Choi the truth. So got slipped out of the cuffs by breaking his hand and then just having it pop back into place. And it's like, right, this is what my body is. It's a connect. That guy, he has my eye and I can see through it. So it's like, right, kind of work together, we can stop this guy. But for Detective Choi, it's like, I can't. My job is basically about exposing the truth. And I guess it's like, he wouldn't just like kind of let him go because it's like, regardless of it all, like, I don't know whether it's a situation he thought like, hey, if I keep you around, I'll be able to find this person. Or it's just like, you being what you are, I can't just let you go. Like, because Dong-soo thought, like, hey, we could work together or something, or at the very least, like, I could be your person out on the street, like, trying to stop this guy. But it's like, don't worry, we will stop him. But it's like, and for Dong-soo, it's just like, he gets defensive and kind of has every right to, because it's like, right, you're arresting me because of what I am. I didn't ask to be what I am. I am this. And just because, once again, another person, like wanting to, like, look at me differently because I'm a monster. It's like, you know, he's had to deal with that his entire life, and now it's a situation of like, right, you're gonna like lock me up just because of that. I'm like, I'm not the killer. I can help you stop the killer, but you rather lock me up because of what I am. So he ends up jumping off the roof. It's like, well, because Detective Troy didn't think or doesn't realize like the extent of his healing abilities until he got up and literally ran away. I'm legitimately curious like how he explained that to the rest. What was the other cop's name? Sujin, the one that was in Sunjin, that was in there, like kind of like yanking him around. You see that in police procedures, but I wonder, is that like, I'm sure it's not okay, but I wonder, does that slide a little bit more in Korea or not? That's why I don't want to say that with definity, because you see like that in cop shows where it's just like they get pretty rough with suspects, and you're like, that looks like that's a whole court issue that isn't happening. But regardless, when it's all said and done, obviously Dong-soo got away. What was also interesting too, it's like, yeah, like his entire identity is fake. It's like, well, I guess it makes sense because he probably tried to bury his past, and so he probably, like, Dong-soo's not even his real name. Even his fingerprints aren't in the system. They're like, oh, it's almost like he doesn't exist. I'm curious if that's because of the pharmaceutical side of things, of like anyone they experimented on, they wiped records of, or like was he taken as like a baby and been experimented on? He just doesn't remember because he was so young at the time. I'm curious like how that whole thing works, because obviously this circles back to the fact this pharmaceutical company is at the center of this, because at the same time this is all happening, Jin Seop found the surgeon and is asking him a whole bunch of questions about this body. It's like, okay, this body's a connect. Wait, you've seen it firsthand, the super healing ability. And it's like, right, this pharmaceutical company, like, I think it says like around 2000, made like leaps and bounds in the biotechnology front, and ended up potentially creating immortal bodies. And like I said, what's also interesting though is like, even though they're immortal bodies, they still age, which I think is kind of an interesting thing. Well, because you would almost think like, right, they have immortal bodies, they probably won't age, but they do age. So they still get older, but they can recover from so much. You know, maybe the bodies are indestructible, but they're not like in totality immortal. It was interesting too because obviously Jin Seop is almost like why'd you give me this eye then? Well, he was there because he got hurt. I wonder, did he try to kill someone and they fought back? I wonder, is there like a survivor of him or something, or like what happened? Could have just been a random incident of like, cause whatever it was, he was like, I came here because I heard that no one will ask questions. So it couldn't have been a simple like, oh my god, I was mugged or something. It has to be a situation where he probably tried to kill someone and they fought back. Either he did kill them or they fought back. This might be before he perfected his, because the corpse art has only popped up recently. But to be fair, it was like that was like 2 months ago. Yeah, because like definitely hasn't been that long since. At least it doesn't seem like it's been that long since. Like maybe he had a whole serial killer thing going on before, but the motif. I mean, if you want to break down, like, you know, the serial killer thing of like, right, your first crimes are going to be very different from your later ones because in a twisted way you've perfected your art. I know, like, it's a fucked up way to kind of say that, but that's when I'm wondering, because it does seem like the corpse art is new because there were no previous crimes to them ones that have popped up so far. So it does make me wonder, did he just like, was this his first victim and they, like I said, either he killed him or they ended up like hurting him in the process of, and maybe they got away and maybe I don't know. But he showed up asking like, hey, I need you to patch me up. And the surgeon was like, oh yeah, go way back there. Like, even if you have to pay, you're paying, that's fine. I don't care if you have an office job. I guess he thinks like if you have an office job, you're more likely to squeal about my operation. But it's like, okay. But then, you know, Jin Seop was like, yeah, but don't try anything funny like trying to take my organs. The cancer's all over my body. So I was like, oh, okay. So that's, I was like, when he was grabbing his side, I was like, wait, so why do you have an eye transplant? Because your eye looked fine. Because the surgeon did it on his own, because it's like, oh, he saw a connect body was left behind, like specifically an eye, that he's like, hey. And he even said, like, right, because it's tied to immortality, this has got to be beneficial to a guy like you who has cancer. Which part of me is almost like, I wonder, does having the eye heal his cancer to some extent? Like, has it kept him alive? Like, has his cancer not grown or, like, killed him? Like, I wonder, like, the moment the eyes were removed, I wonder, does the cancer, like, continue its process? Like, it's a weird example to me. If you've ever seen the show Angel, like, that's part of the Buffy universe, in that universe, like Angel's ex, Darla, was dying of cancer, and the moment she became human again, she started dying from cancer again. And so I wonder, does it kind of put a pause on Jin Seop's cancer or not? Like, you know, is that enough to even kind of like, I mean, it's connected to the rest of its body, so maybe its healing properties are enough to like fight back the cancer. I mean, maybe it's healing the cancer. I have no idea. I don't know if we even get answers to questions necessarily like that, but the surgeon being like, oh yeah, kind of me doing that was kind of a good thing. And the surgeon still ended up getting killed by Jin Seop because it's like, well, last thing I need you to do is like, I don't know. I mean, he just does it and then psychotically laughs because he, I guess, just, you know, enjoys the thrill of it. But also, it's just maybe not letting anyone else know they had that conversation. The organ hunter showed up looking for the doctor. I wonder whose body that was on the surgeon table then. Because, what was it? One of the bosses, I want to say, it was Mr. Kim, was looking at something under, like, near the genital area. I'm like, well, what are you looking at? Like, whose body is that then? Because it didn't look like it was a surgeon's, because it, like, the hair wasn't like white like his, it was like black, and I was like, at least I thought it was. I'm like, I wonder what that was all about. It is interesting too, like the coincidental, and you know, as Jin Seop kind of puts it, as maybe it's fate that Dong-Su's body got brought in like sometime after the surgeon agreed to help Jin Seop. And it's like, right, while he was dealing with one body, you were over there being dealt with, and it's just like he saw an opportunity. So then you also have Dong-Su doing everything he can to stop these future murders, because he knows, like, right, the next step for Jin Seop is, hey, I'm going to, like, go after 3 kids. He's already picked those victims out. So Dong-Su basically makes Molotov cocktails and sets fire to an elementary school, being like, hey, if you don't stop this, I'm going to keep going and going. Like, he's trying to make a terrorist state because by doing so, everyone else will kind of listen to him, and Detective Troy kind of gets what he's doing. So it's like, okay. So trying to keep all the kids safe, which all the schools end up getting shut down, but Jin Seop reaches out to Dong-soo and it's like, oh, you want to, like, yeah, call me. And it's like, okay. So, and it is a complicated thing of like, yes, he's this cool, calm, and collected killer in conjunction with, he even calls him, he's like, you are hot-headed, like you were back at the, like he kind of, he can be smart sometimes. And he's like, oh, like, he knew, like, obviously to hide his caller ID. He pretty much figured that Jin Seop, this isn't actually your phone. That's why you're so okay with just giving away this number. It's most likely a burner. But for Dong-soo, it is a thing of like, when it comes to this guy, like, he does lose it a little bit. He doesn't have like any calm or composure. He doesn't kind of dig things through. Like, he could have handled that situation at Jin Seop's like work a lot better than he did, but he got so, like, his judgment gets a little clouded sometimes. So, but it's like, oh no, you don't have to worry about it. And the next phase of my plan is going through and you can't stop. And you're like, what the hell does that mean? I was like, at first I was like, did he already kidnap the kids or something? It doesn't seem like it. It's completely shifting the plan because you already know what's what, and you've also kind of put a damper on it. Guy can't really act without any issues now. So, because all the kids are now going to be staying at home because of the declaration he made in the city, you know. So then we also catch up with Irang, who is trying to reach out to him, and she ends up cutting her hand. I was like, she's one too, isn't she? And then we see the blood flying off the table. I'm like, yep, okay. So I was like, so the story you told wasn't about some Connect boy helping you. It was you yourself. And she even says it later on. Say, yeah, half truth. I did get hit by a truck and I did survive because of a Connect body. But she's investigating things on her own end, and she's following Woojin because she's kind of mapped it out, like this whole business. Like, right, she knows Min-suk is one of the bosses, Mr. Kim's another one. Then there was Yumpio is the head henchman, and then there's the big guy and henchman A or something like that is what she called one of them. And obviously, I thought it was interesting when she was like, okay, Dong-soo 99% connect, and I was wondering, like, is it just that 1% because of his eye, or is that something that was already there beforehand, and she, or like, is it like, is her percentage of her body, like, I'm wondering, like, what that is, like, what that could mean. Like, could it be like she's saying like 99% of his body is connected, maybe hers isn't? Is that what that's kind of implying? Or maybe that was back, like I said, back when she wasn't 100% sure, but she was like 99% sure he was a connect. So I don't know. But obviously at the heart of it, it's like figuring out, like, all right, who's the pharmaceutical company? Who's at the head of all of this? Now we also see why she's been so connected. Like, once again, like, why she would deep dive into something like the connect. She made it seem like, oh, it's just because I'm a novelist. Now we know she has vested interest in this because she's one herself trying to figure out what happened to them. And none of them know. So Woo Jin tries to attack her, but she can defend herself. And it seems like she straight up murdered him. So, which I think also showcases the difference between Irang and Dong-soo. Because, I mean, well, he hasn't killed anyone, and he's reluctant to go down that route. But I guess it's not too surprising, because, like, was it episode 2 that she was like, hey, you probably should kill these guys or they're going to keep coming after you, but Dong-soo wouldn't do it, and she's like, oh, well, we could just do it. It's like, she was a little too gung-ho about it, so I think that's probably, like, her thing of, like, right, unlike him, I'm willing to kill people if I need to. So, I don't know, maybe he'll make an exception when it comes to Jin Seop. I don't know how that situation is going to get handled, but eventually the two running to each other again, she brings him back to her place and shows him the truth. It's like, yeah, I'm a connect as well. Even like saying like she's got this Band-Aid on her hand, and the reason why she keeps it on is because, like, right, that's what normal kids would do if they get cut. Like, she is known from a very young age, like, I need to hide what I am. Same thing for him. But she tried to do even more so above and beyond to, like, cover up, like, right, my circumstances. Like, hey, my finger cut, I got worried, it's bendy. But eventually it just became a talisman or trying to fit in and be normal. But now it's like, right, she doesn't need it anymore because, like, she's finally around someone who is like her. She's like, I was going to tell you the truth, like, after we found your eye and everything. But for the first time, for Dongsu, it's like, I found someone like me, you know, and not alone anymore. Don't have to suffer alone. Neither one of them has to. I even love that thing when they cut their hands and then they like the connect inside of them starts like entangling with each other and pulling their hands closer. I was like, that's interesting. So are all the connects like secretly trying to like, maybe it's all from the same like it's all from maybe the same organism still trying to pulling itself together. Like it's reaching out from each one of their bodies, trying to reach to the other one in the, I don't know. I don't know if there's like a deeper like thread of like there's a little bit of a hive mind thing going on and it's just separated amongst the bodies. Are they the only two? Are there others? Obviously, she's had this ever since she was a kid. Once again, this dates back to 2000. The question is, were they taken like when the moment they were born and they were experimented on? Or what happened? And they could have been experimented on. I mean, it might even been even in the like fertilization process or something like that. Maybe the egg was kind of like messed with on a genetic level, and that they were already like this from the moment they were born, type of thing. Who knows? Still a lot of questions we have on that front. It's also sad that Dongsu got reached out. Well, Z put out a message being like, "Yo, like I hope the person who made this original song likes it. This my version of it." And he's like, "Dude, yeah, it's amazing. You're a great musician." Like Dongsu couldn't help but like, he's like, "Oh my God, I'm being noticed by this great musician." And he's like, "Yeah, like if you ever want to kind of meet and like like kind of have a session or whatever." And he was kind of excited. I was like, "Yeah," but then like the Jin Seop thing happened of like Jin Seop like calling him up, but also Jin Seop goes after Z. I wonder how did he know to kind of do that? Because he's like, right, obviously this song is significant to you, and he probably follows Z on social media and realizes like he knows like, okay, I know the song's connection to all of this. I know it's you. He's like, oh, what should I call you? Like Guitar Man? And so he probably saw the post and knew like this would be the perfect option. Maybe he always planned to go after Z. I don't know. But he goes after Z, and he specifically dresses like Jin Seop specifically dresses like Dongsu to kind of make it seem like he's the one behind this. It's like, right, now you basically turn the entire city against you because he even says like, yeah, that's what happens when you use someone else's song. It's like, it's contradictory to like the post online, but still, that might have been a DM, that might not have been a public thing because of that. And that might have just been like him reaching out in the DMs or something like that. But either way, it's just, that's not, and because he left that lady alive to be like, oh, that's what this guy said to me. It's like, so it's going to put it like this way, he's able to get Dongsu like even more pressure from the cops on him. I mean, they already going to be after him anyway. Now they're just going to double their efforts because, of taking him down because they think like, oh, he did this. And he made sure to show Dongsu, it's like, right, I have Z, even, and is messing him up, even carved a Z in his chest. So probably not going to end well for Z. But what the end result of this is going to be fascinating. 2 episodes left to see how this all plays out. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good